Morning at the hollow is marked not by light, which barely enters, but by the changing voice of the water. Mara begins where she always begins, with witnesses. 3 pilgrims pulled from the broken bridge have stayed on, unwilling to leave the man who saved them. They are not wild-eyed mystics. They are a trader, a widow, a boy of 12. She sits each one apart, recorder running, and asks them to tell it slowly. Slowly, they all smile at the word. The trader speaks first, a practical man embarrassed by his own story. "The bridge dropped," he says, "and I dropped with it. There was no time, you understand. None. And then there was." He looked back, and the captain was already moving. Not fast, he insists. That is the strange part, not fast at all. Calm, like a man crossing a kitchen. His hand closed on my collar before the plank under me was gone. Mara writes, "Rescuer moved calmly, not quickly. She circles calmly." The widow's hands are still as she speaks, which unsettles Mara more than weeping would. "I was falling," she says simply. "I had time to think of my husband, to be glad I would see him. That is how long it lasted, long enough to make peace and die. Then the captain's arm was there, and I was on the rock, and the others were still screaming because for them no time had passed at all." She looks at Mara. "He gave me a minute inside a second." The boy is the one who breaks Mara's composure. Children do not flatter, do not embellish to be believed. He tells it like weather. "The bridge went funny," he says, "all slow and floppy, and everyone's faces went stretchy and scared. But the captain wasn't scared. He breathed out, this big, long breath," the boy demonstrates, puffing his cheeks, "and then he just reached." The boy shrugs, then turns suddenly serious. He says, "Time isn't a thing." He says it's just how fast you're scared. Mara does what she trusts. She times the gap. From the first crack of failing rope to the last person on safe stone, the survivors' recovered phones timestamp it at just under 4 seconds. 4 seconds. In that span, a man crossed 8 feet of disintegrating bridge and pulled 3 adults to safety. She measures the distance herself, twice. The numbers are absurd, but not quite impossible. A trained body can move fast under threat. What the numbers cannot explain is why he calls those 4 seconds unhurried. She hunts for the seam, the way she always does. The other survivors, the ones not saved by him, remember only chaos and speed, the ordinary blur of disaster. So the slowing is not in the bridge, not in the air, not in some property of the moment itself. It is in him and in those he touched. Whatever happened inside a nervous system, not out in the world. Good, she thinks. Inside a body is a place a forensic analyst knows how to search. A military physician, retired to the valley, hears she is asking and seeks her out, glad of a fellow rationalist. It is well documented, he tells her over tea, almost relieved. Under mortal threat, the brain floods, memory encodes at many times its normal rate, and the mind, replaying that dense record, swears time slowed. The captain is not magic, madam. He is a very good example of a startle response. Mara likes him. She writes his theory at the top of her page, underlined. But the physician's theory has a hole, and Mara, to her own irritation, is the one who finds it. Tachypsychia strikes once, unbidden, in true mortal terror. It does not come on command. Yet the practitioners here say the captain enters that slowed state daily, on the cushion, with no threat at all, the way another man might clear his throat. A startle response you can summon at will is no longer a startle response. It is a skill. She does not like where that word keeps leading her. That night the water speaks against the stone and Mara cannot sleep, again. She has a column of theories, each tidy, each slightly too short to cover the man. Adrenaline, memory, soldier's reflex, lucky timing. They explain the avalanche and they explain the bridge, separately. They do not explain the cushion, the daily quiet, the way 3 strangers each described being handed a minute inside a second. Tomorrow, she will stop measuring the witnesses. Tomorrow, she will sit in front of the man himself.